Alright, last banner update was actually yesterday, right? It was actually yesterday, but this will go until maintenance. Sushang, who's this for? This is for everybody who wants to play an ice team that missed out on the free Sushang. Actually, you can still grab her card for free, right? So this expansion supply is actually for everybody who can brute force with a credit card, or they're rushing for the rank ups. If you're a budget player, you're free to play, you're better off farming from the War Treasury. But Siren is arriving soon, so you might be a little bit pressed if you're trying to split farm. But more importantly, the focus supply. This is one of your opportunities to get gear for Susang, and she's definitely more beneficial with gear. You can definitely use old cope gear, you know, placeholder gear. We've tested it in previous versions where if you run like Margrave with Cosmic, you can get by in lower temperatures. It's definitely harder to do now as temperatures go up. So, you know, it's up to you to decide, are you focusing on an ice team right now? You know, are you not focusing on an ice team? Because if you're not focusing on an ice team, you can cope with other supports, you know, like you can play Pardo Kira, even though that's probably not what high-end players would recommend. But if you're trying to be very conservative with your resources, you know, it's understandable. Couple of notes here. On my NA account before retiring it, I've ran, you know, gloves without gear, and I've ran just Turgenev top and bottom. I've ran full Margrave with Cosmic before, and we've been able to clear side stages with that. With old gear on the other characters too, so there's a little bit of flexibility. But if you can't afford to brute force this banner, you know, that's up to you whether or not you want to spend. But this is a good opportunity for those who are willing to brute force the banner to just pick this up and get this out of the way. That being said, you know, it's the last banner before next patch. Maybe you want to wait for a spending event if you're a budget player and you still want to complete your ice team. Susang is approaching 1 year, the 1 year mark, despite being kind of the mainstay of the ice team infrastructure. So a lot of pros and cons about whether or not to roll on this banner. Generally at this point, for the safe, risk-averse strat, I would just say skip this banner and save for the future patches. You know, next patch will be kind of a top-up event, and then the patch after will be your spending event. Let's look at the off rates here. Keys of the Void, old meta. New Wave Shadow, collectible, not even useful for old meta. Crusher Bunny is like an okay placeholder if you get one for off rates. It is old meta, but you can kind of still use it in a few situations. Nocturnal Stealth is what you're looking for if you're rolling on this. Astral Ren White Dwarf, probably one of the better placeholder scythe weapons as far as generic scythe goes. It's a fire weapon, but it's got total damage on it, so it's okay. And then Midnight Eclipse, kind of medium old meta at this point, but it's still one of the better physical lances. You know, if you don't have Equinox, it's not gonna be that useful for you. But if you have Equinox, chances are you already have her lance. And then Mitternacht for Fischl. So like, if you get it, hang on to at least one copy for the all three of these in the bottom. And same with Crusher Bunny. Keys of the Void and New Way of Shadow, you're probably not gonna be using that much. There's a couple of edge cases, right? Like if you're a Callan fan, having Keys of the Void could be fun to play around with, but like, are you really gonna commit those resources? Maybe if you're not chasing ultra endgame, but it's a lot of resources to max out a Key of the Void. Alright, Stigmata, what's good? Zen Yi is old meta, but still good. Shui Jing is craftable, so chances are you'll pick that up from another source. But if you get like 1 or 2 pieces, it's not entirely a bad thing. Wings of Reason for Silverwing, relevant if you're a Silverwing haver, or a collector, because the artwork is cool. But if you're not in those categories, like the Bronya set might not be that helpful. Now, on a progression account, you can make use of the Bronya set on most ice DPSs, especially if they're combo based. but you know, with limitations. And then handle, craftable, but if you get an off rate, you know, it'll speed up your farm time. So nice. It's kind of like a consolation prize if you get off rates, right? Because your goal is just to get the up rate and then stop pulling. So kind of like a C+ banner. I wouldn't roll on it if you don't need anything here. Definitely the off rates feel like it would be more advantage toward a newer account, and you know, pretty much the only players that I would really recommend this banner for would be like, you're a new account but you're a whale, so you have the spending power to brute force the banner. Because otherwise I would just say, just save for next patch, save for the patch after. It's the last week before maintenance, right? Next week we'll have the new versions, version 6.9. Yeah. Zenyi and Mitternacht, this is pretty old at this point. You know, last time when this released, it was like 2021 with the Honkai Genshin crossover event. At the time, it was a pretty cracked out set. This is kind of like a G3.5 in terms of power level. It's not quite as good as Handle, but it's also very useful for its utility. You know, it's still seen in quite a few strategies where you need the SP regen on demand. Its buffs are still quite good. If you're on a progression account, of course, this is more useful. If you're a veteran account, an established account, this is less useful. A lot of the off rates here are looking kind of, well, let's take a look. Eye of Collapse, having one of them could be useful on a progression account. Most veterans will have alternatives. Most players nowadays won't need Eye of Collapse because you'll just use Susanna, right? Susanna's kind of your quantum catch-all. Elysian Astra is good. It's probably the most... It's the newest cross before 7.0. It's the best physical cross for sure. So that could help with your bleed teams, you know, if you end up picking one up. Scotty, it's old meta. It is an okay placeholder for Scythe class weapons, but this also shows up in Exchange Shop, so not priority. Starland's also not priority, but if you're a Durandal fan, like, you know, it's a good collectible. Mitternacht and Cerulean Flare, like, hang on to one of each if you're a progression account, because you can make use of it. Cerulean Flare you can also use as a placeholder on all your other bow users, like if you're an Elysia fan. Not the best, but, you know, it's an okay placeholder. And then Lost Conviction for Aponia. I don't know, I would hang on to one copy, maybe. Let's take a look at the off rates, because, like, if you're rolling on this, again, this is like if you're a progression account, you know, you have some budget. Otherwise, I would tell you to skip this, because this is like, this is a lot of old stuff, right? This is more for, like, collectors trying to just finish out a set. Shakespeare Adrift is for Dea Ancora. And this is actually craftable now, if I recall. You can finish this out in the Foundry. Dickens is in the Foundry, Anna's in the Foundry. Ragna is for Spina Astera, but it's also... It's like a G3.5. With G4 next patch, chances are you won't really need Ragna. Farmable. It's farmable! That's right. If it's farmable, you have less value in spending crystals for it, if you're patient enough. Mobius ADV is still going on for a little bit longer. Covered this like 2 weeks ago. So most veteran players or Battle Pass buyers will probably finish out your double S rank up from Battle Pass. That's my plan. Mobius is getting a soft buff in 7.0. The word that I heard, and I'll test it some more on beta, is that Luna Pledge will be a support for Mobius. But even then, like, if you're not in Nirvana already, like, it won't really affect you as much unless you're an absolute Mobius stan, right? So I probably wouldn't really recommend the ADV banner for average players. If you are an absolute Mobius stan, sure. If you have the wallet power, the spending power to brute force this, maybe. You know, maybe you do 110 pull to see if you get lucky, because we've gotten lucky in the past, but that's only if you're really, like, not risk averse, because ADV pity does not carry over. We covered this when this banner went up for outfit. If you're a Fuhua stan, this is great. Remember, first pull is free. Legacy is not bad. Oh, and it's discounted too. It's 20% off Crystal. So, you know, 6K is better than 9K. Or is it 6.8K or something? 6.9K. It's better than 9.6K. 7.3K? Yeah, so 7.3K is less bad than 9.6K, but it's still pretty expensive. I'd say Legacy, outfit coupons, your focus cards, and your resonators are probably your most valuable things before you get to the outfit. If you can get it early, that's fantastic. I think the 5th pull is the earliest that you get it, and it's like a 0.5% chance for that to happen. And then Dorm. I would hold your Dorm tickets for 7.0, because we'll get a spending event there, and in 7.0, a bunch of battle suits are getting added to Dorm, so I would just sit on these until then, if you have the discipline to. If you are just trigger happy, I don't know what to tell you. Save for next patch and roll for Siren's weapon if you're trigger happy. Just hold out for like a week, alright? Yeah, save for the brick. Also, just a reminder, for those that are Battle Pass buyers, make sure before next Sunday that you spend your honor chips in the BP arsenal. Okay? Make sure you get your focus ticket. I think free to play, you should be able to afford the focus supply card. And then for Knight and Paladin, you know, you should get all these limited resources. So make sure you do all that. A couple of other notes. Make sure you finish all the events that you have the fortitude and stamina to try to do. Try to get all your crystals, you know, take advantage of chip space. Try to get this Stigmata. This Stigmata surprisingly a decent free-to-play support piece. You know, especially on a progression account, like if you're running Pardophilus or Eden or doing some wacky like mixed elemental team, this is actually a decent free-to-play progression Stigmata, because you're getting a fire damage buff for the whole team. So if you have a character that's off-field doing damage, like if you're running old meta stuff like, I don't know, Fischl or Haxor Bunny, and you're getting off-field damage somehow, it'll be nice. It'll be nice. Yeah, Pardo is actually a great utility for this, because Pardo can do off-field damage with Can. And the artwork is nice. So, you know, make sure you finish this event too if you care. There's like 400 crystals here and an outfit if you have time to grind the outfit. The energy device is more so for endgame players. I like, if you're progression and you have a goal of endgame, picking this up would be good, but it's not mandatory. Definitely try to get your ancient legacies before Thursday, so that you can unlock your Siren. I will probably have to crack open a box because I have a bunch of legacy boxes. Definitely try to finish your story chapter 39 stuff before the patch rolls over. This already feels like so far away, and I still haven't even finished posting my VODs for this. And then this is still ongoing. So this will also be a good resource farm for those that still need it. Maybe you want to get some ether fuel for the new G4. So G4 ether fuel will be handy. And then Homu Treasury for the May outfit rerun. There is a trial stage, I think, maybe. There is a maybe trial stage in here for it that you can maybe farm some... Oh, I guess not. I guess there isn't a trial stage for it. That's too bad. Anyways, for those that are Hersher of Thunder fans, this is an opportunity to get it. If not, then, you know, you just sit on your golden keys for the next bingo. What some players do is they'll refresh and try to refresh for either, you know, I feel like Ancient Legacies, getting 20 of these is okay. But refreshing till you get a gold background for the rare materials is also a viable strat. But sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. So if it's not priority for you, you could just kind of sit on this and get it later. Don't forget to share your version preview for 20 crystals. You can just, you know, copy the link here, and 20 crystals will show up in your mailbox, right? 20 crystals. It's a good way to prep for the next patch. Yeah, Haunted Dusk was the last thing you got before quitting. Yeah. It was a good outfit. It had some nice effects. I remember Maiko commented that they didn't like the shoes. I thought the shoes were okay, though. Anyways, that pretty much concludes banner review. I will see you back again on probably next Thursday for the banner reviews. We'll talk about the Siren banners and whatnot, and go over all the new stuff and refresh all the stuff in 6.9. That's pretty much it. Good luck, captains. Save, 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 save.